Hey, good morning, everybody. Once again, I'm here today with Péter. He's from Framble.io and he's calling in today from Budapest. And as you all know, I'm here in Wrocław. Good to see you, Péter. How's life?
Hi, everyone. It's not too bad, not too bad. Great to be here.
Wonderful. So today we're going to touch on a few topics that Péter would like to discuss with me. And those will be, just a second. So software startups versus hardware startups, crowdfunding in general, the effect of COVID-19 on the digital frame market that Péter's startup operates in, why Framble originally chose Wolf Summit pitch contest to take part in, and finding investors online and his impression of Wolf Summit, and programmed obsolescence and eco-friendly products.
All right. So the first topic that I have chosen was hardware startups versus software startups. And this is a pretty interesting topic because, if let's say you create an app, for example, compared to a hardware product, you really don't have that many expenses. And I think that's an advantage. When you're a hardware startup, they often say that hardware is not only difficult, not only hard, but it is also very expensive. And that is because, first of all, you have to source a lot of components. You have to go through different certifications like CE, FCC, depending on where you want to sell your product. You have to deal with manufacturing, so you have to, in most cases, outsource it to a production house, for example. And of course, there you really have to have the numbers. You have to order at least 1,000 or even more products. You have to deal with logistics, right? You have to ship everywhere. But it also has a nice advantage, because if you create a hardware product, then, compared to software, you can hold it in your hand. It's like your child. You can see it, you can touch it. Also, if it doesn't work, you can shatter it to the ground and you can kick it if you want. But in general, I would say hardware is more expensive and a little bit more difficult than software.
So where do you, when it comes to your e-picture frames that you produce, where are they made? Are they made in Hungary or elsewhere?
Unfortunately, we are not in that stage yet. So now we have some working prototypes, but we are not manufacturing yet. We have some different plans. For example, we are in contact with one of the biggest digital picture frame manufacturers in China. They were interested in working with us. But if we could do that, we would like to keep the production in Europe, simply because it's easier to deal with taxes rather than importing your own products from abroad. And so that's the plan basically. Maybe Romania or Hungary will be the country where we are going to produce when we get there.
Or you could feasibly you could create your own 3D printer setup and manufacture them from your own domicile, for example.
Yeah, that's also a possibility. But when it comes to numbers like 10,000 units or 100,000 units, then you can't really do it on your own. It's difficult, especially when it comes to electronics. And also, our product is made of handmade wood, recycled wood. So that means that we need to hire carpenters, but I think it's easier to simply outsource that part, to a factory that already has the experience in, for example, manufacturing wood and wood frames, for example.
Absolutely. And do you have an idea, like an initial price point per unit, or would you prefer not to share that with us for now?
Sure, no problem. We have nothing to hide. So at the moment, our plan is to launch Framble on Kickstarter, and now we have an initial discount, an early bird price, which is $149. That is available for a while, mostly for our subscribers on Framble.io.
Okay. And have you got any experience with Kickstarter or any other type of crowdfunding from previous projects?
Not really. I mean, I knew what Kickstarter was, but I never used it myself, and it was actually such a huge surprise because I didn't know that 90% of crowdfunding is basically marketing. And me myself, I'm an engineer, so I don't have too much experience with marketing, and I think that's a common misbelief that crowdfunding is you just come up with an idea, you make a prototype, you upload it to Kickstarter, then people start buying it. Well, this is not the reality. It's as I said, 90% is marketing, and you have to invest some serious money into ads, for example, and generating leads for your product. And there are some crowdfunding agencies who are specialized in you just give them your product and they create all the marketing for it, so you don't have to deal with anything else than creating your prototype. The problem is that they their prices range from $10,000 all the way up to $100,000 depending on your expectations. They say that you should invest at least 25% of your expected goal into marketing. So yeah, it's an expensive thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, just to be clear, I believe that a product like your offering is perfectly suited to raising via the crowd. So generally B2C products particularly are suited very well to the crowdfunding model, whereas traditionally, in my experience of B2B solutions around enterprise and SaaS are better suited to go after angel investors for your early injection of capital.
Absolutely. And also crowdfunding can be a very good market validation. So if you are unsure that your product has a fit in the market, then what you can do is you create a crowdfunding campaign, then you see if how many people are interested in your product at all. And I think that's a very useful thing. The only disadvantage is that it's a bit pricey, but
yeah, Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn are the biggest winners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I know that you've been with us twice now in the last both of our last events. So initially, what was your impression from the March edition of Wolf Summit? Obviously that was the larger event that we were forced to pivot to a virtual offering. So how did you enjoy it, and what were your takeaways from that?
Yeah, that's an interesting story because initially we planned to participate in the real event, not the online event, but we thought that it's gonna be in reality. So before it was moved online, and we were how to say this? We were really excited about it because since we are a very international team, we are from 3 countries. This was a very, very nice opportunity to get together all the team, and also it was meant to be our first huge event for startups. So we never did anything like this before, and we also prepared our own shirts just for this event.
Wow.
When it turned out that because of the virus, it's going to be canceled, at first we were very disappointed. Then it turned out that it's going to be online. And I have to admit that, honestly, I was a bit skeptical. I didn't know how it is possible to move such a huge event online. But it was actually a huge surprise for me that it worked out really well. And for example, when I tried your networking tool, where you get connected with random investors or other startups, for example, for me it was a shock. I was like, this is so cool, and I really didn't expect that you can create such an event online as well. So we have a very positive look on this. And
no, that's really great to hear. As the organizer, we're always happy to hear such feedback. And how about the format for the pitching? Do I know it's quite intense having just 3 minutes to present, but did it work well for you? What would you, as a startup founder, how would you prefer to present in front of the judges?
Yeah, so the 3-minute thing is interesting because, I transformed our pitch and I started practicing beforehand just to make sure that we fit into the 3 minutes. I even measured it many times and it was always okay. And when we actually got to the real pitching, it was, I think we got stuck at the last slide. So I couldn't finish it, but I was like, "Whoa, okay, this was so fast." When you're a bit nervous and things like that, and then everything goes faster than expected. But it also teaches you to summarize and to only keep the really important things in your pitch. And I think that's important to be able, to how they call this elevator pitch. So you have to be able to present your idea in a very, very short time frame. So that's cool. I think that 3 minutes is actually really cool because it really trains you to summarize all the important information into those 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, for an investor, you can imagine they're literally inundated with various, pitch decks and different requests at the moment. So when you can concisely talk about your offer in such a short space of time, it's going to serve you well going forward in your, in your interactions with investors, etc.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So coming on to the, actually sourcing investors as you're, I know you're going to be raising via the crowd and the Kickstarter program, but is there are you actively looking for a business angel, for example?
Yes, absolutely. We are. We want to use crowdfunding for market validation and also for the initial sales. But on the bigger time frame, we are absolutely looking for investors as well, and also for crowdfunding because, as I mentioned, it has some expenses that are not easy to pay for from your own savings. And yes, we are absolutely. We are interested in every kind of cooperation.
Okay, and obviously you're finding it much harder in the current situation to make those introductions.
I wouldn't say so. Especially thanks to Wolf Summit. Now I think we had a lot bigger reach when it comes to investors than we had it before. So I don't think it makes it harder. Nowadays everything is online and a lot of things are moving online right now. So the internet is a great tool for finding investors.
Yeah, and it's I remember 2 months ago, people's arguments were that you can't replace the in-person event. We won't be signing big checks for investment, but that's been completely disproven now because there's there's Series A, Series B rounds that are going through at the moment, and investors are having to, although it's not their ideal preferred route, they're actually signing off on term sheets for much bigger sums remotely. So yeah, it's going to be a huge, tectonic shift in the market going forward, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and your last point that we wanted to talk about is the programmed obsolescence and eco-friendly products. So how does that tie into your product offer?
Yeah, so the problem nowadays is that a lot of companies, of course, it's a secret, they won't tell you, but there's a thing called programmed obsolescence, which means that their products are designed to break after a while, preferably after the guarantee, right? So they intentionally design their products to break after a while, because of course then they can sell more of the product, and this is good for them because they have higher profit. This is good for the economy because people are buying more and more stuff, right? But if you look at the bigger
depends
picture,
if you define that as good or bad. It's it's down to personal taste. Yeah,
exactly. Like of course I have a negative view on this. I don't think it's a nice thing to do, but people say that you can recycle everything, so it doesn't matter because you can resell. You resell, and it's good for the economy because there are more sales. But if you look at the bigger picture, recycling also needs energy, right? And that is a finite resource for our world. So, and it also helps the increasing garbage problem which we have in the world. So that's why we have decided that our product is going to be designed for a lifetime, or it's going to be designed to last for a lifetime. That's why we are using recycled wood only for the frame, and also the e-paper display itself can save millions of trees because of the e-book readers, and also the design. So all the parts are chosen in a way to make sure that this product will last for a lifetime, and you don't have to, it won't end up in the garbage after 2 years.
Yeah, no, I'm a big advocate of this and fully support you. My question is it toddler resistant? Can it survive an attack by a 2-year-old?
I don't think so. And that's a funny story because, and this is the story of Framble, because it happened like 10 years ago. I got a call from my ex-girlfriend, and she was crying, and I had no idea what's going on. And finally, she told me that she broke the display of my ebook reader. And I told her it's okay, it's just a device, you can buy another one. And since I'm a hardware engineer, I decided to fix it on my own because I have the knowledge for it. And so that's what I did, and that was the first time when I realized how great the picture quality on these displays are compared to a regular LCD display where you have a backlight. And so it looks exactly like a real paper. I think most people have nowadays ebook readers, so you know how it looks. So it has a very, very natural look and very eye-friendly, non-shiny look. So that's when I was wondering, is there digital picture frames with this on the market? Because I think it's a lot better fit, for a digital picture frame than an LCD. Because when you have an LCD display in an e-paper, in a picture frame, it just looks like a tiny monitor. It looks like, it has this modern look made of plastic, and it doesn't really fit most interiors, and it doesn't look like a traditional picture frame. So that was the goal of Framble, to finally have a picture frame that actually looks like a picture frame.
Yeah, exactly. It gives the same authentic feel, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Peter. So are you joining us in 1 week's time for the next edition of the pitching contest?
Yes, we would like to.
Super. Okay, great. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on the 28th. And yeah, best of luck again after the past 2 months of practice. I'm sure I'm sure your presentation will be really slick and streamlined.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. It was a great opportunity.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, Peter, and see you soon.
Thank you. See you.